Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My future stepmother demands I dye my hair to a more natural color for her wedding. After that, company VP was a major jerk, so VP and company paid the ultimate price. And after that, am I the jerk for not making him dinner for 2 nights after he gave all of our leftovers to his sister? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen doesn't get to force anyone to dye their hair. I've been thinking about going green myself. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My future stepmother demands I dye my hair to a more natural color for her wedding. I'm 19, female, and my dad is marrying his girlfriend of 5 years. She wants me to be one of her bridesmaids as it would look great to have me up there. I'm not particularly close to her, but we're civil, so whatever, right? I agreed, telling her I'd be happy to do so and to let me know if she needed any help with the wedding. I got a call from her last week telling me that she wants me to go to her hairdresser with her so that my hair can be made a more natural color, like my natural brown or even a deeper chestnut, as she thought that would look nice on me. I was confused by this and asked her what she was talking about. She told me I would stand out too much in the bridal party with my hair. I have waist-length hair that is an ombre of purple and pink. My hair has been this color for the past 3 years, so it's not like I sprung it on her out of nowhere just before the wedding. I told her I wasn't about to ruin the style I spent a lot of money and time to upkeep just for her wedding, and she implied that at 19 I was getting too old for such a childish style, and it was really for my own good, and reminded me how I'd told her if she needed anything for the wedding to let her know. She then told me that this is what she needed. I was shocked by this, and I pointed out I'd meant something like picking up party favors for the reception, dress fittings, and the like, not changing my hair. I told her I wouldn't be doing this, sorry, and if she felt that way, I just wouldn't be her bridesmaid, so I didn't stand out too much. She was upset with me, and the call ended rather coldly. I've had my dad phoning me every so often since, trying to talk me into changing my hair. He's implying it's not a big deal, and he'll pay to fix my hair after the wedding. That's not the point. It'll be difficult to get my hair back to this, and bad to recolor it. So anyway, I don't see why I have to change my style for her. I can be just a guest, though honestly, I'm not even wanting to be that now. He told me I had to be her bridesmaid, as she had told everyone I would be, and how I'd embarrass her in front of her friends and family if I refused now, as they'd think that we're not close. I've pointed out to him that we're not, and it's on her if she made it seem like we were close to people she knows. I told him if I had to be a bridesmaid, she could accept my hair as it is, or I'd just stay home. I don't know, maybe it's my inexperience with weddings, as I've never been to one before, but surely this is too much to ask of me. Maybe I should just cave in, as my dad said he'll pay to fix my hair afterwards, but the idea of going through all the work to fix it and the damage it could cause is upsetting to me. Should I just suck it up for my dad's sake? My mom is upset over this and has been fighting with my dad on the matter. Not the jerk. I'm in my 50s, and I had my hair magenta for a while and loved it. You be you. She's being ridiculous. You're not the jerk. They can invite you, the real you, or not. You can accept their invitation or not. What they don't get to do is invite an imaginary alternative version of you that they'd rather have instead of you, and then insist that you fake it. Not the jerk. The people getting married can ask someone to wear their hair up or down, or wear certain clothes. But asking hair to be cut or dyed is way too much. Also, as a woman in her 40s with purple hair, it's not childish to have hair colored whatever shade of the rainbow you like. I've refused jobs that want me to dye my hair. I'd happily refuse to participate in a wedding if doing so required me to dye my hair. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her stepmother-to-be? Please let us know. I'd tell stepmom I'm not interested in coming to your wedding at all. Thanks for showing me your true colors. Then I'd tell dad to get over it, but that's just me. Company VP was a major jerk, so VP and the company paid the ultimate price. Just hired by a small West Coast construction company to stand up and run a major East Coast regional office. The small company was just bought by a huge multinational construction company. First order of business, get a base of operations. Need a large warehouse with loading docks, office space, and good access to the Washington, D.C. area. The idea was to get a place for a short-term lease of 1 year. If needed, we could easily move to a better location without too much fuss. Lots of good space available, but it's not cheap and nothing will rent for less than 1 year. No problemo. Myself and executives of small company are okay. Financials look fine. I'm allowed to execute the lease on behalf of the company. Just need to run it by legal for a quick check. Lease is as standard and as fair as you'd expect. No surprises, no issues. Everything is on the up and up. Legal calls me and says it's no good. We need an early termination clause. All leases are required to have them. I reiterate that this is the shortest lease we can get, 12 months. Legal is adamant that they need the early term clause. Okay, time to renegotiate again. Leasing company won't budge, won't accept anything less than 12 months. I plead with legal for help. This is the in-house counsel for a huge international construction company that does work across all sectors. They spend millions on politicians and legal. Legal's response? We don't negotiate or provide lease documents. I'm like Bob from Office Space. What exactly do you do here? Legal says, legal will review the contract and approve, but you must negotiate and execute the contract. Cue malicious compliance. I need this wrapped up now, so I draft a clause that says basically this. Early termination. Tenant will have the right to terminate the lease for any reason. Tenant will be required to pay a termination fee equal to 200% of the remaining rent due on the lease. I sent it to our legal team expecting them to revise it. Nope, completely approved. Okay to execute. I sent it to the property manager company and they were dumbfounded. I said, our legal department is okay with this. Are you? They said sure. Before a year was out, I was let go for political reasons. I tried to inform the new VP about the lease and other issues, but new VP wasn't interested in what I had to say. Okay by me. At the end of the lease, VP renewed the original contract for 4 years. A few months after VP renewed the lease, VP decided to move the warehouse. The hefty 7-figure and valid early term bill was paid without question by accounts payable. This totally crushed the VP and P&L and completely prevented any bonuses for himself and his staff that year. Legal also got a lot of heat for signing off on the original and renewal. VP was axed about 18 months later under a cloud of fraud and bribery. Yeah, there was stuff going on. Malicious compliance stage 2. As I said, this is a construction company, and on the East Coast, most states require a contractor's license to do any contracting work. This license is required to pull permits and legally do construction, and it's also part of your insurance contracts that you are in full legal compliance. So that afternoon, after I was terminated, I sent off the required registered letters to the appropriate licensing bodies in a number of states and removed myself as the designated individual. In other words, I was the general contractor on that license, meaning without me, the company is no longer a general contractor in those states. Now, the company usually has 30 days or so to backfill that individual, but it's not easy to find a person already licensed. All of a sudden, legal gets a letter from a bunch of states saying that branch of huge multinational is no longer a GC. And this gets sent to the insurance companies, which in turn immediately inform the clients that the policy is no longer valid until it is rectified. This halts all work in a number of states, even for work not part of my region, as the company was using my license to pull permits and get work without my knowledge. They did eventually fix this, but it was a scramble and was a huge black eye, and they lost a lot of work as awarded POs were assigned to properly licensed contractors. From what I heard through the grapevine, one of the hardest hit was those places they did the shady stuff and used my license without me knowing about it. Am I the jerk for not making him dinner for 2 nights after he gave all of our leftovers to his sister? To be blunt and to the point, we have a family of 5, 3 kids under the age of 11 and 2 adults. We live paycheck to paycheck, and I have to coupon and pinch pennies most weeks. I do have a garden and livestock, but it only goes so far. Limited yard space and town code. My sister-in-law is an individual who gets nearly $1,000 a month for food stamps, despite only having 1 kid and 3 working adults in the home. Plus, she has no big bills due to inheriting a paid-off home, so it's only land tax of $280 a year. She has a significant amount of money more than us due to this. She invites us down for dinner 3 nights ago and asks my husband to bring a dish. He decides he wants to do a casserole that costs easily $60 to make, considering the portions. I told him we would have to bring the leftovers home because that's a lot of money. Needless to say, no one at the dinner touched the dish he prepared. I left early because the kids were tired, and he comes home without the leftovers hours later. I ask where they are, and he said his sister asked if she could keep them because she didn't feel like cooking and claims he felt cornered and couldn't say no. His sister is 100% aware of how hard up we are too, so the amount of selfishness and disrespect baffles me to the highest degree. Those leftovers would have fed this household of 5 for 2 days. I was livid for obvious reasons. This means that the $60 he spent was basically thrown down the drain and we couldn't afford it. The past 2 nights, I've been making the kids dinner, not even myself, to save on food costs because I need to make up for this. $60 with my couponing at a grocery store would have been enough groceries to last us about a week and a half, but he didn't use coupons to buy the meal. He went while I was at work, and therefore we need to recoup. So yeah, I've only been making my kids food, and I personally have been eating things from the garden, cucumbers, tomatoes. He said I'm being a jerk and punishing him for wanting to help his sister, who in my opinion was simply lazy and didn't feel like cooking for her one kid with her free food that she gets from food stamps. But no matter how I put it, he still thinks I'm the jerk here. ETA, food stamps questions. In my state, they currently have the $450 extra per kid, school kids, because of lockdown food stamps bill passed in 2021. One kid is 13 and the other is 18 and goes to college. Therefore, my sister-in-law is still collecting that $450 extra for the 18-year-old because she is apparently still considered a kid until she's 21, stops going to school, or moves out. Dang, for sure not the jerk. Take care of the family first. Sorry sis, I got mouths to feed. I'm taking the casserole. That should have been it. Sorry you have to live like that. Not the jerk. I can't stand adults who don't have the courage to stand up for themselves, especially when it affects their family. It's not like you're not making food for him out of spite. He chose to make an expensive dish and he chose to not take it home. That took up the budget, and now his decisions mean less food for him. He should go to his sister's to eat. Is there a food pantry near you? I recommend checking it out and seeing if you can get something to help you through these challenging times. I'm sorry you're dealing with this and that your husband valued his pride and ego over your family's health. Not the jerk. Mail Karen and property lines. I'm a senior construction superintendent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The project I'm currently on is a 13-acre site smack in the middle of an extremely affluent area to the north of Dallas. 3 weeks ago, a city inspector that we'll call Joe came into the site office and said that they received a complaint about a sprinkler/soaker line being damaged during excavation for the fire lane. He, my landscaper, and myself went to investigate, discovered where a small fitting had blown out of the line. Landscaper repaired it. I went up to knock on the door to explain to them the issue and inform them of the repair. I got no answer at the door, so I left a card and a note asking them to call me. They never did. A week later, Joe comes in and mentions that they've reached out again about the noise from equipment, which is odd because anyone with heavy equipment is currently working on the other end of the property. I again went to go speak with them, got no answer at the door, and left a card again. Yesterday, in walks Joe to tell me that they're complaining about our construction fence is on their property and it's destroying their grass. The fence is 12 feet from their fence, and our specs call for it to be a minimum of 15 feet from the property line. So I pull up our CAD files on the survey plot so I can make sure we have it placed exact and realize that their wood fence is 4 feet onto our property. Their house is about 14 inches onto our property. During all of this, I get an email from the city asking me to place the construction fence squarely on the property line. The email is sent to me, the apparent homeowner, Joe, and my project manager. I brought the surveyors back out yesterday to pinpoint our property corners and give us some 10-foot offsets, reference points 10 feet east of the property line for line of sight to measure from. I knocked on the homeowner's door again and got no answer. Mind you, every time there were cars in the driveway. Fast forward to this morning, my fence crew showed up and they began moving the fence onto the property line, which takes 31 inches, 2 feet 7 inches, of their driveway and 18 feet of the road where it ends at the property, was previously a cul-de-sac. The client finally reached out, or more accurately, came to the site office in a huff. I explained the issue, showed him the plat, and he left with some unkind words flowing from him, like diesel exhaust on a steep incline. I put a pause on the fence relocation just to soothe the wound. My PM called him, I called the city right-of-way engineer and our client. We set up a meeting that just ended. He claimed that our plat was wrong. The engineer and everyone else disagreed. The back and forth went on long enough for the client, who was an extremely laid-back and quiet gentleman, to finally speak up and basically say, "We're just going to go ahead and sell you the property you've stolen at current market value plus 10%. In this area, that's not cheap. If that's not acceptable, we'll just have you move your fence, cut out your driveway, and use the east side of your home for advertisement. Or you can back off, let these guys work, and we'll give you lifetime use of the area you currently occupy, so long as there's no more hassling of any kind." The guy asked me if we had moved the fence back out, and I told him no. I agreed to take it off his driveway, but the street and green space belonged to us. We only did what he asked us to. The engineer who asked me to move it agreed. So there it is, the story again, the fallout and conclusion. Am I the jerk for not making enough dinner for my mother-in-law and ignoring her completely? I, 29 female, live in an apartment with my husband, 31 male. Recently, my mother-in-law has come to visit since she's trying to relocate here. She's been staying with us since hotels and Airbnbs are at an all-time high. She's been here a month and it's been, well, difficult. She doesn't help with anything like cooking or cleaning. She also takes my husband's car without knowledge, so I have to give him a ride to work. She also throws stuff away she thinks we don't use. She also has been going shopping lately, buying decor. She was only supposed to stay 2 weeks to see if she likes it here and try to find a home. It seems like she wants to relocate here and like she found her home with us. I've had conversations with my husband to get her to leave. He's asked and begged, but she still doesn't want to leave and he doesn't want to disrespect her. I've remained kind, but I can't take it anymore. I went into the guest room she's staying in and cleared it out. I took all the clothes out of the dresser and closet and put it into her suitcase. I also put all of her things on the floor. She came home and yelled at me, then got into a fight with my husband. She then apologized and said she couldn't afford the plane ticket back, and if my husband books it, she leaves. Well, he did for yesterday. She refused to go because it was the cheapest ticket on the cheapest airline and that she was worth more than that. We got her into another flight and she got a hotel for the night. Well, today she came home and opened the door. It wasn't locked. She then passed us and put all her things in the empty guest room. She went to the living room where we were and said, "Well, are you guys ready to apologize?" We were dumbfounded, of course. I stormed to my bedroom and locked myself in there. I took a nap and came out and they were both watching TV. It was around 6 at the time and I decided to start getting dinner ready. When I started, my mother-in-law went and started trying to talk to me, basically saying I should apologize. She noticed I was ignoring her and started yelling. I kept ignoring her until she went with my husband. I blocked out their conversation. I was quiet and set the plates. I only made enough servings for me and my husband. I sat and ate and they came to do the same. She saw there were only 2 plates and went to look for more food. There wasn't any. I don't know how it happened, but we got into a huge fight and I ended up throwing all our clothes outside and screaming at her for all my neighbors to see. She was crying and my husband was begging for me to stop. I drove to my friends, shaking and mad. I passed out and woke up to paragraphs upon paragraphs of not just my husband and mother-in-law, but sister-in-law and brother-in-law, basically telling me I'm a jerk for disrespecting mother-in-law and embarrassing her. Well, I have no idea what to feel. So, am I the jerk for how I reacted? Not the jerk. Tell your husband you go or she goes, as this is a problem with him being a mama's boy. Tell your sister-in-law and brother-in-law they can take her in if they're so concerned. I'm wondering if she even still has a place to return to. I'm wondering if she even intended to find a place to move to. She can't afford an airline ticket, but she can supposedly afford to move? I suspect that she planned to just live with them all along. Not the jerk. Your husband chose his mother. Go to the bank and close all the joint accounts. Cancel all the credit cards. Hire a divorce attorney. It's over. Not the jerk. Mother-in-law sounds like a boundary stomper. You need to have a long conversation with husband about this and why it's unacceptable. You tried to be nice. You tried to be a little more direct, and clearly she wasn't taking the hint. To have the courage to come back after being essentially thrown out of your house and ask you to apologize? You need a divorce ASAP. I'll never understand why women stay with loser mama's boys. When a dude acts like his mom is some wonderful woman, it's a major red flag and I want nothing to do with him. The problem is, their delusional mothers come from a time where they were completely different than we are. Oh, your mom didn't mind doing dishes and laundry, cooking and raising the kids? So you think I should be okay doing that crap too? No thanks, mama's boy. If you want me, be a real man and do the cooking yourself. I'll order takeout like normal people do. And as for laundry, I'm not a maid. If you want your clothes clean, then wash them yourself. So sick of these entitled dudes thinking their moms are some sort of role model. It's not the 50s anymore, so get over it. My crippling depression and anxiety gets me over $1,200 a month, so I don't even need to work for myself. Why the heck should I work for you as a live-in maid? Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her mother-in-law? Please let us know. Oh look, another mummy's boy. Do some soul searching? Okay. I started working for a company as an administrative assistant, purchasing office supplies, routing paperwork, coordinating meetings, etc. A person on my team left, so I picked up their duties while my boss looked for a replacement. The interview process for the replacement started in March of 2020, but it was not completed due to lockdown. I continued to cover both jobs easily since my original position did not have a lot of work to be completed while working from home. My boss compensated me for the extra work at a 10% salary increase, and all was going well. As we navigated the lockdown and realized how to work efficiently from home, my positions picked up more and more duties. I was designated as the executive assistant to my boss's boss's boss, which added on additional part-time position to my role. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I was not happy doing the work of 2.5 people and bringing in a measly 10% salary increase. I started discussing growth options with my boss last September. She asked me to put together a justification document as to why I deserved a growth path or promotion. I put something together within a few weeks. Doing 2.5 jobs kept me really busy, and sent it to her. We discussed it at our next get-together, and she said she'd have to discuss it with her boss. Next time we met, she asked me to put together another document on where I saw myself in 5 years. Okay, I put that together and sent it. Next time we met, she asks me to put together another document on the justification. I told her I was not going to keep pursuing these tasks if they aren't getting us anywhere. She said she'd discuss this with her boss. We're in February at this point, and I'm getting tired of being strung along when my boss finally sets up a meeting with her boss, and me. We met. I voiced my frustrations. They give me reasons as to why I am not entitled to a promotion. My boss said she already told me the reasons, but this was new information to me, and encouraged me to do some soul searching. I start soul searching. Am I really happy in this role? No. Do I feel supported by my boss or upper management? No. Why do I want to stay here if I know I'm not going anywhere career-wise? Beats me. I start applying to different jobs, within the company and externally as well. I'm still working towards a promotion with my current position, but I can't get my boss to give me any timelines or solid process to follow. We're now into April and have gotten nowhere. She's now asking me to look into different options other than a promotion, which do not follow the original path I wanted. The promotion would allow me career growth options in my current positions. Pursuing the other paths led nowhere. I interview for a position internally under a different supervisor. While I wait to hear back on that interview, I have concluded that I am no longer interested in the promotion. It was now May and we were still at square one. My boss sets up a meeting with HR to discuss what needs to be done for a promotion, which I feel like should have been done in September when we started this whole process. My boss made a comment that she never knew the process fully and wants to follow all the rules. Great. We've been wasting my time for the last 9 months. Fantastic. Finally, some good news for me. I got the job. As soon as I knew I had the job, I told my supervisor I was resigning. She was dumbfounded. She made comments about how we could have moved past the problems we faced. We were working towards a promotion, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Everybody who interacted with my supervisor during my 2 weeks' notice said she was grouchy and didn't want to talk about my departure. She now had to figure out how to complete my 2.5 duties while finding my replacement. I started my new job, and due to when I started work on the morning and my new supervisor started work on the morning, I had some extra time. I was going to finish up some things. My new boss was super accommodating with that plan, but my old boss took away the access I needed. I gave her a detailed list of what I was unable to complete, and she granted me the access I needed to complete those tasks. Too late. I was already knee-deep in introductory meetings and no longer had the time to assist. It's been 3 weeks now, and I couldn't be happier. My old boss and team are falling apart due to my boss being unable to lead a team. An awesome new hire, 2 to 3 months of work for my old boss, is already looking for a new job due to being bait and switched. I know of more people who are fed up with the leadership in my old team, beyond my boss, who are also looking for new jobs. Am I the jerk for yelling at my aunt in front of a restaurant full of people? When I, 30 male, was 5, my family took me to one of those Japanese steakhouses where they cook the food at your table. When the cook lit the grill and the huge flame shot up into the air, it scared me and I ran and hid in the corner and was too afraid to come back to the table. My aunt, 64 female, has teased me about that ever since. That was 25 years ago, and I swear she brings it up every single time I see her. I've told her repeatedly to stop talking about it. My parents have also asked her to stop bringing it up, to no avail. It's gotten so tiresome and embarrassing, and she teases me about it in front of the whole family, despite me repeatedly telling her to stop. I've never really gotten along well with my aunt, and lately I've made it a point to avoid her at family gatherings. We celebrated my birthday Friday, and I wanted to go to one of those Japanese steakhouses. I didn't invite my aunt, but my grandmother invited her behind my back. I didn't know she was coming until she showed up. I was already upset that my grandmother invited her. She told me that my aunt is family, and I can't just exclude her from everything. But as soon as we sat down, my aunt brought up the incident that happened when I was 5. I told her to stop bringing it up, and my mom told her to stop as well. But when the cook was fixing to light the hibachi, she asked me in this really condescending way, "You sure you don't want to go hide in the corner for old time's sake?" I finally just lost my temper and went off on her right then and there in front of the whole restaurant. I basically yelled at her, "Will you just shut up about that already? That was 25 years ago. Is that literally all you have to talk about? I'm sick of hearing about it. This is why I didn't invite you." I swear the entire restaurant must have been staring at me, and I felt like just walking out. The entire rest of the dinner was awkward, and I couldn't even enjoy my meal. After we left, my grandmother told me that I embarrassed her in front of everyone, and that my outburst was completely uncalled for, and that I owed my aunt an apology. My parents told me I didn't owe my aunt anything, and they were angry at my grandmother for inviting her. But I still feel like a jerk for losing my temper and yelling in front of the restaurant, and the whole thing was deeply embarrassing. My grandmother and my aunt are also both blasting me on Facebook for embarrassing them in public. So, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She had been told and warned repeatedly to stop. For this to go on for 25 years is ridiculous. You had every right to do what you did because obviously it was going to take extreme measures for her to shut up. You embarrassed her? That is what she's been doing to you for 25 years. Your grandmother was out of line to invite someone to your birthday party that she knew you didn't want there. Blast them back. They are not owed an apology. Not the jerk. Sure, you could have handled it more cordially, but what your aunt is doing to you is so mean, and you have absolutely no obligation to put up with it. Your grandmother and your aunt are the jerks. Your parents are right, and I'm glad you have that support. Regardless of what your grandmother does, I suggest you continue to exclude your aunt. Your folks have your back. Not the jerk. I get you feel bad and embarrassed by your behavior, but try to be gentle to yourself and give yourself a pass on this. You've been tormented for 25 years for crying out loud. Ignore Facebook. Who cares what they think? It's very telling both your parents support you and don't think you should apologize. It shows you are absolutely right to react the way you did. If you have to see your aunt in the future, I would suggest the sentence, "Nothing more memorable has happened to you in 25 years? Boring," and simply walk away. To grandma, "Nope, still not apologizing. Anything else?" Then walk away. You don't owe either of them an apology, an explanation, or any more of your time and civility. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his aunt? Please let us know.
I'd tell my aunt it wasn't the fire that scared me when I was little, it was her dragon breath.
Would I be the jerk if I asked my sister to hide her engagement at my wedding and uninvite her fiancé? I posted a "Would I be the jerk?" asking if it would be mean to not allow my sister's boyfriend to propose at my wedding, and after the positive responses, decided to not let him propose. He was very understanding and polite and said it was totally fine, so we didn't think to inform the DJ or the security about his plans like some comments suggested. Big oopsie, he proposed anyway. After the ceremony of our wedding, we all went to sit down and eat some snacks, and we heard Mark take the mic. The entire evening, our friends and family had been giving short speeches and telling funny anecdotes, so we did not think much of it. However, Mark just said, "This is for your sister." What happened next sounds unreal even to me. My now husband and I have a couple song, which are our thing. Mark danced to 3 of them in his proposal. Furthermore, we had a simple rule for the wedding: no inappropriate songs. He played 2 of them, then proposed. She said yes. Both my husband and I were very hurt. So as to not make a scene, we slipped out into the garden. A while later, we heard our first dance song playing inside the venue. We walked back in, and it seemed like Mark and my sister were dancing to it. At this point, my husband was very saddened, and we decided to leave. We told all our guests that we were very tired and returned to the hotel. The next day, today, a friend told us that after the newly engaged couple finished dancing, Mark went up to the mic and said the song sucked and was a really bad idea for a first dance. I really don't know what to say or do. Neither of them said anything to us this morning, which I understand, post-engagement bliss and all, but it was still hurtful. Now, here comes the problem. Tomorrow is our reception, and I really don't want Mark to come. He's hurt me and my husband a lot already, and I don't want to give him another chance to do so, and I just don't want his presence there. Next, and I know this sounds horrible, but I want my sister to not tell everyone about her engagement and not wear her ring. This is because today, when our reception guests started coming in, an aunt asked to compare our rings and engagement stories. It was horrifying. I don't know how I will take it if this happens during the reception. Moreover, there will be more guests who have nothing to do with our families, like our colleagues. It will be a little awkward for them as well. I'm pretty sure that if I were to do this, my family would go nuts, and it will be embarrassing for them to announce my sister's engagement after my wedding. My husband says he will unconditionally support whatever decision I take. So, would it be a jerk move to ask Mark to not attend and ask my sister to hide her engagement?
Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.